Hello everyone, today I am going to be showing you how to do this effect, and it's a really simple effect, and we're going to be using After Effects. Okay, so first off, let's take a look at the footage I got. So in this one I did try throwing the cup so I could freeze it so we could get some maybe motion before it freezes, but that didn't work out. So I just have my hand here, and then I acted like I was losing power or something, and then I went and I just held the cup out where I thought it should be, and kind of got a bunch of different angles on it so that the lighting would be right, and then I did this part where I dropped it, and I think I did it again slightly differently, so I was more in frame. Yeah, right there. Like that. Anyway, so we're going to be using that stuff. So I'm going to take this shot and I'm going to drag it over to a new composition. I'm running at 16 bits, I guess, instead of 8. And you can change that by just alt-clicking on it. You can do 8, 16, 32. I'm using 16. I don't know why. I just thought that would be cool. Okay, and I'm going to name my clip up here. I'm just going to call this shot. Actually, I'm going to name it shot underscore 2 because the other shot where I actually cast the bolt in it is going to be the first one. So I could just come here and name this base, I guess. Base footage. Okay. And I think first what I want to do is I actually want to create, or I actually want to track this shot. Or no, I want to get my timing, I guess. So I'm going to go in here, and I have the numbers written down, so I'm just going to use those. So now we have this part where I drop the cup, and it looks amazing. And I think the only reason I'm not just cutting right when it's out of frame is because there's these little particulates in the air right here that will like mess it up. So these actually need to continue from to the end of the comp. So it's actually going to start like about there, just like that. Okay. And see, we can close all these so we can see kind of what it's going to look like. I'm going to go like this, and then I'm going to let it fall. And yeah. So I think the first effect we might want to do is actually the cup like just floating in the air. So I'm actually going to duplicate my footage again, and we can hide the first one, this one right here, and this one we can just name cup. Oh, and I accidentally hit 3. Okay, cup. Okay, and this one we can right click the footage and say time freeze, or freeze frame, sorry. And that way this whole clip is just that image right there. And well, we could change this maybe to 18. I don't know. Whatever's the clearest frame for mine, at least. I want a nice clear frame. 18's pretty good. Let's try 18. 918 for me. Okay, and then we can just line this up with the beginning. So I'm like holding the cup, and then I drop it. And dropping it actually could start like right here. I don't know why I have it starting. Maybe my numbers are all wrong. But I actually wanted to kind of drop right there. Okay. Okay. So for this shot, it looks like up here is kind of untouched in this corner, which is always good for tracking, and down here. So maybe we'll track that. We're going to need 2 or 3 different tracks because we're going to need to track my hand, and we're going to need to track the background, and maybe even need to track the tree so that we get a little bit of parallaxing, so we get all of this stuff. So let's see. Let's track the background first, because that's going to be the easiest. think it's done. Should we watch it and see if it got a good track? Oh, some weird's going on. Yeah, I think that probably got a good track. It doesn't move very much, but it does move just a little bit that we need to track it. So let's right click down here and add a new null object. And we can rename it by hitting enter and name it BG track. And I like to put all my track nulls at the bottom. Edit the target. We want the BG track, and we can just hit apply, I think. Okay. So now this null right here, right there, should be tracked to our footage. Oh, but it won't show me that when I'm in display mode. Why is it? Oh, I have the couple on. Okay, there we go. Now let's watch it. There we go. Okay, so it's subtle, but it does help. Okay. And so let's do the next one. So instead of creating a new null for our next track, I like to go up to my solids folder and just drag one in. And that's why I like to put them at the bottom. You can hit T and turn the opacity down. That's essentially what a track marker is, you know, the opacity is at 0. The anchor point is different, so we could change that, but you know, set this to 0. But essentially that's all it is the opacity's down. So I'm actually going to take this one and kind of name this track. And then I'm going to duplicate it because I want to just keep this one for reference, so I can duplicate it again. And name this one, well, I'm going to be tracking the trees, but I guess I don't really know what to call it. I could just call it tree track, but that's a little weird. It's essentially where your object is floating in air. And I'm actually really lucky that I had these trees. So I would advise getting something like this. I didn't think about that before, but being able to track something floating in air. But if you're looking at it on the ground, you can track close to where you're freezing your object on the ground. I don't know. Whatever fits your style. So we're going to again go to base footage, say track motion, rotation, and then place these. So this one's going to be a bit harder because my hand right here is covering up most of the tree, and as the footage goes on, I actually like pass through the entire tree. So we basically only have this little area up here at the top that I can track. Oh, sorry about all that blinking. And so let's see, where's a good place? So that looks pretty good. And so I'll edit the target. I'll go to my tree track and I'll hit apply. Okay. Okay, so the last thing to do is the hand. Tracking my hand. So we don't need to track the whole thing because the reason we're tracking my hand is because there's going to be like a big huge like distorted orb in it. And so it's going to kind of disappear after a few frames, you know, because I like let go of it. So we only need to track up to like this point right here. And so it's kind of blurry right there, and we can hand track the last few frames if that's necessary. So let's see. Let's watch this. So I kind of don't... There isn't much detail on my hand. If there was something on the back of my hand that I could track, I would, but it's pretty much just pure black because of the glove. So I'm really looking at the fingers here because they have all the detail, but they're blurry, so that's hard. And these ones right here, they all curve. So like, kind of curl a little bit, which means it'll distort, it'll kind of move my track funny. So I'm actually looking at my pointer finger here, and I think that's the clearest one. We have to be careful because the tree detail might actually grab the track point. So let's track motion again. I don't really want to track rotation. I did in my practice one, and I ended up just not using it. So let's just not track it, because that makes it harder, because that means we have to find 2 points somewhere. So let's just see if tracking, maybe I'll track the edge right here of the finger and the glove. That might get some pretty good stuff. It did drop it, but it got it up to, it had it for pretty much the whole time. I don't think it was jittering around very much. Yeah, it did a pretty good job. So let's just hand track these ones. So let's watch that. Yeah, that's pretty good. It doesn't have to be perfect, well, but it should be rather smooth. I think a jerky would look, well, that could look kind of cool. So let's edit the target, set it to track that we duplicated earlier, and hit apply. Okay. Then we could turn track on, and we could rename it hand track. Just like that. Okay, so now we have our 3 tracks. We have our background track right there, 3, which is tracking the background. We have our mid-ground track, I guess you could call it, which is tracking the tree right there. And we have our hand track, which is tracking the hand, so we can add stuff to that. And it doesn't really need to be any longer than this right now, or right there. Okay. So now we can get started on making cool stuff, I think. I'll turn on my cup layer here, and right now it looks pretty bad because it's just a still frame of me holding the cup, and that's beautiful. Okay, but I think what we need to do is just rotoscope this out, which, since it's only one frame that's extended over the entire time, that's going to be really, really easy because it's just one frame to mask. So I'm going to get my pen tool. I'm just going to start here and go this way, because the mask always goes where you drag your first handle. So if you want to continue up like that, you want to drag your first handle up. And we want to add some feathering, just like 2 pixels or something, just so that it's not a harsh edge. See, now it looks kind of like it's in the footage. And there we go. Now it's frozen right there. So now we have to decide where we want it to be frozen. So if my hand's outreached like that, I kind of thought like right here. And this is actually a good time to look at our falling clip. So it's not really the same as the hand clip, but the cup kind of starts like right above these bushes right there, and we're going to use that later because we're not going to rotoscope this cup all the way out. And so let's actually place this right above those bushes right there, right where this one is. It's a little closer, like that. And I'm just going to use this pan behind tool up here to move the pivot point into the center of the cup. That just makes it cleaner, I think. And we can rotate it by using W, and just kind of get it something like that, so that it's, well, I guess it is kind of angled. We just kind of want to match that clip, because that's the one that it's going to transition into. It's just going to do a straight cut to that, so we need it to kind of match. Okay, so now that we have that, we can assign our cup to our tree track so that it moves along with the footage. And oh, it's jittering a little, but that's actually kind of cool. I think the first thing we need is a new solid. So I'm going to say solid. I'm just going to name it white solid. Okay. And it only needs to be like this long maybe, but we can decide later. Actually, no, let's make it the whole length of the cup here. And let's type in fractal noise right there. I want that one. Okay, this is beautiful. So as I said, I've done this earlier and I have all of the settings. So I'm just going to set mine to 250 in contrast. Leave brightness at 0. Change this to spline. That just changes it subtly. Set the complexity to 12, I think. Okay. There. Just added a little bit more detail. And for the evolution, I'm going to toggle it, and I'm going to type in time times, that's the symbol for times, asterisk, 100. And 100 is the time that worked for me. So just kind of have it kind of shifting a little bit. It's not too dramatic, it just shifts a little bit. And because if you make this too fast, it looks a little funny. But do whatever works for you. Okay, and then the next thing I think is the vector blur. I learned this trick pretty recently. Gonna make it 25 in the amount section, like that. And that just makes that really cool, I think. So along with the animation that we did, this might take a little bit to render, but it just subtly shifts a little bit. And it's kind of looking a little lightning-y, which is kind of a strange word, but it just shifts a little bit. Okay. Gonna hit Shift Command C on my Mac here, but I think it's Shift Control or Shift Option. I don't know. For pre-comping, you can probably find it in the menu somewhere. I'm just gonna name this fractal. Yeah, fractal. Even though it's not really a fractal, but it's kind of cool. I'm just gonna stretch this out because we can use the whole time. Okay, and we could name this noise. I don't know. We don't have to name that, but I like to name stuff. Okay, so let's close this back, go back to our other shot. So now we have essentially the same thing, it's just in its own place. And we can now use it to displace the cup. So if we hide it, we can, now let me zoom in on my cup here. Use displacement map. Displacement map. There we go. And put it on the cup. Use the fractal. And 15 I found is what works for me. I like to use, not lightness, luminance, which none of these really change in this image because it's just black and white, which means all of them are the same. But that's kind of interesting. So now we have like this weird distortion effect on there. That 15 might actually be too much, but you know, just okay, that was interesting. I'm gonna set my quality down to half so it'll render just a bit faster for you guys. There we go. Yeah, just so it's kind of like weird and distorted and stuff. Maybe 15 is too much. We could try 7 maybe. Just to get a little bit of distortion. Okay, so now we're gonna take our fractal. I want to duplicate it actually, and I'm just gonna turn down the opacity for a second. 25, I think. Okay, let's take the center and put it right on the cup. That doesn't really matter too much, but I think it'll help us in the end. And then I'm just going to make a circular mask here, make it completely circular. Actually, you don't have to. If you wanted to, you could make it kind of like an oval there, and sorry, gotta figure that out. Okay, and then just kind of make it the shape of whatever object you're covering with it, like that. Okay, and yeah, turn up some feathering. I think 65 or so is probably pretty good. I'm just gonna turn this up and change this to screen. There we go. And what looks terrible is it's not set to the tree track. I almost clicked on hand track there. So we want tracked there. Actually, we could track it to the cup itself because the cup is tracked to tree track. And so wherever the cup moves, this moves as well. Maybe that's a good idea. I don't know. Wait, does that work if I move the cup? Oh yeah, look at that. Yeah, let's do that instead. Okay, so we know who's parented to who, I guess. Okay, so that's kind of really bright, but it's supposed to look kind of like a bubble, I guess, around the object. And it could be a little bit smaller, I think, because we don't want the bubble to be too big. And all that feathering is making it bigger than I thought it was going to be. So something like that, and I'm going to use Video Copilot's Vibrance plugin here, which is for free. So, and just to add some color, I think it really helps. And I'm going to choose a nice blue energy color. And instead of turning down the opacity, because I think this is way too bright on top of the cup, we can't see what the object is I've frozen with my time powers here. So instead of turning down the opacity, I'm going to turn down the brightness and the gamma to get the effect I want, because when I turn down the opacity, I tried this in the past. Here, actually, I could show you. Whoa, that was way too much. Okay, just set that to 1. If I turn down the opacity on this, it kind of turns like this weird orange color. Maybe that's just because my cup is yellow. But, and so as the opacity goes down, it's showing more of that. And I just think that looks really ugly. And I want that, like, bright white energy. So I'm going to set this to 0.7 and maybe 0.5 just to get, like, this weird sort of mysterious energy that isn't that strange color. Yeah. Awesome. Okay. So now we need to make like this weird distortion effect on the outside. I think that would be pretty cool. So we're going to need a new adjustment layer. But I'm actually going to use this white solid that I made earlier because it's essentially the same. Actually, it is the same. The only thing that makes it different is that this little button is checked right there for adjustment layer. And, or at least that's all I can find that's different. So now you can't see it anymore, but it's there. And I'm going to add, of course, turbulent displace. Doop. Okay, so that's pretty awesome. And I might as well actually, with this white solid, move the center again onto the cup and parent it to the cup. Just so it moves with it. Okay, so my paper, my cheat sheet here, says the numbers should be, let's see here, 60 for the amount. These are just the numbers I came up with that look best for me. 16 for the size. Ooh, a lot smaller than 100. Ooh, yeah, nice ripply. And 2 for the complexity, just to add a bit more detail. And some evolution. So again, I'm going to alt-click on the stopwatch and type in time times 250. Okay, and that should do that distortion, except for we need a mask. So actually, we could probably just copy the fractals mask. I don't know if it'll work, but since we put the center on there, it might actually. So I'm going to copy this one and paste it. Okay, so it's a little off, but that's okay. We can fix it. And we're going to change it anyway. We're going to make it a little bit more circular, I think. Just going to make it... Whoa, I don't know how to do that. How do you make it more circular? Okay, more circular, just by a little bit. And scale it up. Like so. There we go. Okay. And that's going to be our displacement, but we actually want it underneath the cup and the, well, maybe above the cup. Well, no. Below the cup, and also underneath all the fractal stuff. So it just distorts the background. I don't know what it's doing there. It's very, very subtle. I don't know if I actually can see it. It's just adding these wiggly lines right there. Maybe, let's find, oh wait, no, this one. How, maybe we should make it a little bit bigger, actually. Well, that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to make it bigger. There we go. Bit bigger. In my previous attempt at this, I did put another mask on the inside to like cut out the center so it was a donut. But I'm not sure that that's a... I mean, I think putting the cup above it kind of makes that irrelevant, I should say. Oh, we should actually start naming stuff. So this white solid, I'll call this cup displace. And the fractal can probably stay the fractal. This one, well, maybe not. Let's call this fractal map, I guess. And let's just call this one can be fractal. Okay. And everything else has got a name. Cool. So let's watch what we got now. Here, I'll set this to fit. And I don't know, that distortion, the distortion around this area almost doesn't seem enough. But you don't really need too much. It is kind of a subtle effect. And I wonder if I should go even subtler on these fractal lines right there by changing the brightness on it. Yeah, just by a little bit, so we can see what's under there. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Okay, so I think we're actually pretty much done with that, except that we need to animate it kind of like disappearing when my hand kind of weakens. Oh, and get to this shot. Actually, we could probably do that next, because that's pretty involved too. So let's stretch this all out. And I'm just going to trim our fractal stuff, like all the display stuff, back to the cut there so that nothing's interfering with that. And let's pre-comp this cup fall shot. So, yep, I'm just going to name it cup fall. Maybe put an underscore in there. I don't know. Okay. Let's add a marker using the asterisk button, just so that we know where that frame is all the time, and pull this all back, like so. Okay. And let's select it and hit stabilize motion, because we want this to be completely frozen. I have a bit of camera move in here. And so I want to just get rid of all of that. So let's stabilize using the background, because that's what we need it to match up to in the other shot. So we need we need the background to be completely still, not the cup. Awesome. Okay. And the target's just going to be itself, because this is a stabilize motion. And I'll just hit apply. We should now have a completely still shot, or at least from the background's point of view. So let's go to our frame that we're going to be using as to like start, and let's make a rough mask around the area that this cup falls. So it kind of goes diagonally, so we're going to need to start the mask like here. And if we go back, oh wait, sorry, excuse me. Don't put the mask on this layer, because it's going to move with the track, and that's not what we want. So again, I'm going to grab my white solid and put it here, And I'm going to hit T and just set this to like 15 or something so we can see what's going on. Or you could even hide it completely by going 0 opacity, but so the cup kind of ends right there, and I'm going to give it a little bit of wiggle room. Whoops. That's not what I wanted. Okay. By just doing that and this. And then let's go up to where it starts, and I'm going to do that and that. So this is just a rough mask of like the area that the cup is in. And I'm actually going to make this side a little bit bigger because I know I'm going to need that because this plant in the other shot moves a bunch. So, yeah. And just like make feathering room, I guess. So let's feather this by 25 maybe. Oh no, that might not be enough. Let's do 35. Okay. And then we can oh, sorry. Then we can turn the opacity up and set this track mat to that solid. There we go. So now we just have this all masked out. So the cup, okay. So we need to go a little higher on this end of our mask. Okay. Or wait, maybe, no we don't. Do we? No we don't. Okay, let's see. On this frame, this is the frame that matters. All this stuff before that doesn't really matter. This frame matters. No, I think we're good actually. So does it stay in there the whole time? It looks like it does. Yeah, that did a pretty good job. Okay, so next thing we need to do is actually mask this out, the cup out of these frames that come before the marker, because we don't actually want it, and mask my fingers out as I drop it. So now we should, if we turn this back to, not add, subtract, there we go. We should have this where it's completely stationary, and then like that, where the cup pops out and it falls down. Whee! Make sure we're not cutting off any of the cup detail, because we don't want that to happen. And that should do it. Okay, so if we zoom back out to full here, we just have that. Awesome. So back to our other place. Oh my, what happened? I think we're going to, okay, let's go to our point here where everything is based on, I guess, and hit T on this cup fall layer and set this to 50, and let's actually line this up with the background. So this wouldn't really be necessary if you weren't going to have something falling from the sky like I did. I actually chose a pretty hard task. I'm going to zoom in again, and let's get this lined up. I'm going to use these plants in the background as like reference here as to where everything should be, and that looks pretty good. I can't tell. Sometimes in motion, when it's in motion, it looks worse than when it's just still. There might be some rotation on it that we don't know about. But since we stabilized it, it should be completely still and match up pretty good. And we're going to turn up the opacity so you're not going to see all that. Ooh, that is kind of weird. Okay. So now, oh wait, go back to that one frame. Don't forget to set it to the background track so it follows everything. Oh. So it follows the background, and let's watch that. Yeah, it blends in with the background. This plant looks a little weird, but it looks, I think that's okay actually. And look at that, our cup is actually, oh, I stopped it for some reason. Okay. our cup is actually, you know, transitioning pretty good into that cut. We probably could move, yeah, it moves a little bit. So we could take these 4 layers, which is our cup, and kind of move it up. There we go. Oh, wow. I was just guessing. That actually looks dead on. Okay. So now our cup should just like transition straight into falling. Like that. Awesome. This is looking good. Okay, so I don't really know exactly what to do for the, like, you know, unleashing, I guess, of time. I kind of thought, like, if it, like, popped, or if it... Oh, actually, ooh, that's a cool idea. If you've ever seen a bubble pop in slow-mo, it kind of, like, starts on one line, I guess, so it would kind of be like a radial map that it kind of, like, kind of unfolds in this weird pattern. I wonder if we could do something like that. So, I think the only way to find out is to try it. We actually need to make these two, like, maybe this much longer. Oh. Let's actually put our displacement, cup displacement, or put this cup fall, I guess, above the cup displacement. And I'm just going to mute it again, so that it doesn't get all weirded out. It just, we just lose that displacement, which is fine with me, I think, because it's so quick, you don't really miss it, I think. I don't know, we'll find out. Let's extend these two a little bit further, and I'm trying to think of the best way to do this. I think it might be to add another mask. Let's start with this fractal bit, I think. And let's zoom in. And the mask is going to go from the center to the outside. Then I'm just going to go roughly around like this, back to really close to right there, back to the center. And make sure and not to make these handles rounded. I think that'll help. I'm just gonna move this one even closer. This might be a bad way to do this, I don't know. And then go into the masks, call this first mask. This is our bubble. Whoa. Bubble. Okay. And the second one is going to be our, I'm just going to name it clock, because that's what I'm thinking of right now. Let's have it invert. No, that's not what I want. Subtract is not what I want either. I want it to be inverted but subtracted. There we go. Very confusing. I want it to be subtracted but inverted. Oh, I'm moving it. What am I moving it for? I need to move just this one point really close. Okay, so that this line basically doesn't exist. And then I'm going to add some feathering to it, which is like maybe 15. Hopefully that, if we deselect everything. Yeah, you can't really see that line. That's cool. Okay, so on clock we need to animate the path of it. So it's going to start there, and it's going to, let's go to the center frame. Zoom out a little bit. It's a little close for me. And let's, whoa, actually take this side and put it like halfway like that. Well, no, let's do that. So, and take the other side and do kind of a Pac-Man look, maybe a little bit more than that. You know, a pie, clock, I don't know. And then go to the last frame, or the frame before the last frame. I don't know, we can move these around. And kind of, whoa, I did it again. Okay. drag this one all the way around, and this one back so that's not overlapping, and this one all the way around again till they're pretty much touching. And that'll do. The feathering, I think, will fill in that gap, and the frame, or the layer ends right there, so it doesn't really matter. We can actually make this layer one longer so that our frame does pretty good. Okay, whoa. And there's the problem I thought we might see. So let's go frame by frame here. So this frame opens up. That looks pretty good. This frame, though, oh, that actually looked good. Oh, wait, no. This frame. Okay. That frame. This frame. That is weird. So we're going to need to go. This one's going to be like, well, it's got to be a little bit more than flat, I think. Okay. And then this frame. Ooh, that's kind of strange. Let's do that. Pull those out. And then this frame. Closed. On the other side. Awesome. So that should look like it's kind of like opening up. Perhaps. We could actually turn up the feathering a little bit. And I have no idea how this is going to work. This is all new territory for me. Okay, so I think this frame isn't far enough. So let's select that and make this one like completely flat. Or almost completely flat. And then the next frame is kind of like the opposite. And let's check these frames again to make sure they're okay. This one could be animated like that. Okay. So just kind of like an egg popping or something. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see how this looks. Maybe even more feathering. I don't know. This should be like almost really subtle. A subtle disappearance. Okay, and I'm gonna hit U to just show the keyframes that I need, or that I've ever made, I guess, on this one layer. And I'm actually going to end the animation like right here, where the cup has fallen already. So that means it's just gonna start a little bit earlier. So it goes boop, 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 that's kind of weird. Maybe one frame later. Okay. So it kind of pops, I guess, a little bit. We could make the animation go faster. I don't know how fast this is actually going to be because I haven't seen it in real time yet, which maybe I should see it in real time. This close up, though. Yeah. Okay. Boop. Boop. That's a little weird. Yeah, let's actually make that go faster. So I'm going to delete, let's see. I'm going to delete this keyframe right here and move these two closer. And then move this one in like that. And yeah. So that happens a bit faster. Kind of looks more like it's fading off, but that's okay, I think. I wonder if these keyframes are automatically generated. Sorta. Yeah, that did a pretty good job. I don't think that's bad. So let's see if it's a bit smoother that way. Cause no, it's still looking really jerky. It's just kind of like But okay, so now all we have to do is take this clock mask, copy it, move over to the cup displace layer, and I'm just going to take this layer back like that. And hit M, and then paste it, I think. And just check to make sure that it's in the right place. so that in real time we got thing. I don't know. It doesn't look that cool, but it's kind of like this. It kind of looks more like a gradient fade thing. I don't know. Maybe our feathering isn't up enough. I know that might not be the case, but let's turn this up to 100 and see if that just does it for us. I'm wondering if maybe like a pulse or a ripple or something would actually go here. That could be interesting. We could try that. I think I'm just going to leave it the way it is. So I'm going to zoom out. Whoa, not that far. And just leave that the way it is, and then move on to the hand, because this part is actually really long too. Whoa, I want to close all these. Okay. So for the hand, I really wanted like this sphere in the hand, and so we're going to actually have to rotoscope the hand out on top of it. And that makes it kind of difficult. But again, we only have to do it for, this many frames, like to here or so. So, or even less, like maybe to here, I don't know. So I'm going to duplicate the base footage and just rename it to hand. And wait a second, is that what I want to do? Yes. I actually want to hide this, or not hide it. And then go over, get my solid again, and actually set it to track to the hand track from the beginning frame, from the first frame. And I'm just going to name this hand mask. Hit T, set it to like 15 or so in the opacity, and then I'm going to solo these two layers, the hand and the hand mask, and then I'm going to start rotoscoping. Okay, I think I might be done. It's a really rough rotoscope. As you can see, I only used a few keyframes, but I think it gets what we really need, which is just it is a pretty rough mask. So, and I'm not looking at it now. I might actually go and hit the mask expansion here on all of them. Just grab that for all of them. And is that all of them? Yeah. And just kind of turn it up a little bit, just to fill in all of the gaps. Okay. And that looks pretty good. We don't want, that might have been too much, but no, that was pretty good. Okay, so now we just have that. And we can, come over here and select this hand and say alpha matte to that layer. We can shorten it because it only really needs to be that long, and go into hand mask. Oops, I forgot this part, and turn up the opacity. There we go. And now we just have a hand. Cool. Okay, so now we can unsolo that layer, or the hand layer. And so now it should look normal again, pretty much. And we can start adding cool effects. So I'm going to take my white solid again and put it under my hand layer. For this one, I think I'm actually going to Again, move the center under the palm, just so we have the most room to kind of play with, because we're not going to use this whole frame, the whole frame of the solid. And I'm going to parent it to the hand track, not the tree track, the hand track. Yeah, I'm going to zoom in a little. And so we have this. He's got a big white square attached to his hand. And as you can see, my rotoscoping paid off there a little bit. Okay, and I guess this doesn't have to be this long. It can only be as long as the rotoscope, I guess. And we can name this hand displace. Okay. I like to not put spaces for some reason. And just grab a circle mask and put that around right there. And I kind of like about that size, maybe a little bit smaller. And let's place it right about there. Actually, we could move this a little bit and take the hand displace layer and put the center and actually move it instead of moving the mask. Okay, like that. That's pretty cool. Okay, and then oh, we want to add feathering, so this one can be like let's try 65 again. That's pretty cool. So I've got like this big orb in my hand. Again, add turbulent displace to it and change it to a adjustment layer. And I'm going to read from my cheat sheet again for how to do this one. Okay, and of course evolution, we're going to animate this, but this one's going to be a lot faster than the other ones we've done. So this one's actually going to be at times 500. So that's pretty cool looking. We could watch that. So since the rotoscope is on top of it, it's not going to be distorting the hand. So it'll look, hopefully look like it's behind my hand. Well, that's pretty cool. Yeah. Okay. So that's not all that we're going to do, though. We are actually going to add a fast blur. Fast blur. Okay, come down, put that on hand displace. And set this to 8 pixels. And I'm going to put this above the turbulent displace. Maybe not 8, maybe 6. 8 actually look pretty good. And I'm wondering if I got my settings messed up here, because that doesn't quite look like what I want it to. I think I'm actually going to turn the complexity down. Yeah, that's better. I don't know, maybe I'll change it back after I watch this, but I don't want it to be too complex. We do kind of want it to match the blurriness or the out of focusness of my hand. That's pretty cool. I don't know, I wanted to see more over here, but maybe that'll come. There's another part of this effect that'll look pretty cool. You know, now that I'm looking at it, I wonder if the cup displace and the fractal, I'm just going to select those two. I'm going to actually animate their opacity while they're collapsing. Because something about that looked funny. I'm looking back at that. Yeah, that's better. Okay. So we're really close here for this shot to be pretty much done. So I'm going to duplicate this hand displace layer. I'm actually going to put it underneath. I'm going to rename it hand glow. And I'm going to come over here and type in tint. Oh, that's weird. Tint. Okay. And I'm going to put that on my hand glow. I'm going to remove the adjustment layer aspect of it and take off the turbulent displace and the fast blur. and just tint it like a bluish color, maybe something like that. Maybe a lot lighter. Yeah, like that. Okay, and then I'm going to hit M, and I'm going to take this mask, and I'm actually going to shrink it a little bit. I could just use, minus the expansion, but I'm actually going to shrink it a little bit, and then set this to like 15 or something. Maybe that's not enough. 25? There we go. So that I just got this cool, like, sort of glowy look, and it kind of defines it over here, like I was saying, and down here. Just kind of separates it from the background a bunch, and kind of pulls notice to it. And this is where your rotoscoping kind of comes in, because see around my fingers I have a bit of like normal color, and it kind of looks a little weird, but you can't really tell. Okay, that's pretty awesome. So on both the hand glow and the hand displace layers, I'm actually going to, when I kind of weaken, I'm going to, just turn down the opacity here all the way to 0. Okay. Just so that doesn't, so it kind of looks like my power is weakening anyway. Maybe I'll do it over the entire course of the thing, or like half of it, so it looks like it's weakening before I actually give up. That's kind of cool. Yeah. Okay. And then for the displace, this one's going to be a bit different, because I actually want the amount to go down, or maybe the size to go up. I don't know which one. I actually think it's the amount I want to go down. And I want to animate the opacity as well, I think. But if you just animate opacity, it does, I think it does some strange things. It like does this weird like 2 thing, because it's an adjustment layer. It kind of like onion skinning. I don't know how you describe that exactly. But yeah, so I'm going to do a opacity thing as well. Whoa. Okay, there we go. Let's take a look at that. And that's pretty much done with this effect. I think. I mean, you could work harder on the displacement around the cup, but other than that, I think it looks pretty good. Yeah, but the time really goes into rotoscoping the hand, getting your tracks to look nice, I think, and just fiddling around with settings to make all this distortion stuff look good. That's the end of my time freeze tutorial. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you next time.